When de Havilland's Comet arrived on the scene in 1952, it was obvious that jet power was the way of the future for airliners. Boeing's answer to the Comet was the 707 and the slightly smaller 720, both being medium to long-haul airliners. Because of requests from major US carriers for a short-haul airliner, Boeing began studies of what was to become the 727. A variety of designs were investigated, including a 4-engine baby 707 and 2- and 3-engine designs. Boeing's US customers wanted good performance and easy maintenance for quick turnaround, which quickly ruled out the baby 707 idea. With the Trijet idea not meeting with much interest, 2 engines seemed to be the way to go, but a lack of suitably powerful US-built jet engines available prompted another look at the Trijet design. Some of Boeing's US customers indicated they would not accept an airliner with foreign engines, and this ruled out the Rolls-Royce Spey engine. Eventually, Pratt & Whitney produced the JT8D-1 engine for the 727 project. During the design study period, Boeing took a look at delay statistics at New York airports. The Federal Aviation Administration imposed more severe bad weather restrictions on 2-engined aircraft than they did on 4-engined aircraft. The 100-foot difference in decision height ceiling between the two types had a serious effect on delays of 2-engined aircraft. Boeing had a series of discussions with the FAA, and a Trijet would be permitted to operate at the same ceiling decision height as a 4-engined aircraft. The Trijet project was given a go-ahead in June of 1959, with the aircraft's formal launch to be in December 1960. The new airliner would have the same width fuselage as the 707, a T-tail, and be powered by 3 Pratt & Whitney J18D-1 engines rated at 14,000 pounds of thrust. The 727 was the first Boeing airliner with hydraulic controls, triple-slotted trailing flaps and lead-edge slats, giving the 727 exceptional takeoff and landing performance. The new airliner could carry 90 passengers in a 2-class layout, with up to 125 in an all-economy layout. The prototype was rolled out of Boeing's Renton plant in Seattle on November 27, 1962, and made its maiden flight on February 9, 1963. Launch customers were United and Eastern operating the first service on February 1, 1964. A total of 408 727-100s were built over the next few years, plus 164 C variants. The 727-100C had a cargo door, which allowed the aircraft to be used in passenger, cargo or combi service. By 1965, the next variant, the Stretch 200 series, which had a longer range and could carry up to 189 passengers. The first 200 to enter service was the 433rd 727 built and went to Northwest Orient. The last 727s built were the 200F freighters. Only 15 were built for Federal Express, and the last was delivered on September 18, 1984, ending a production run of just over 20 years. 1,832 727s were built, making it the best-selling airliner of all time, until its baby sister, the 737, outsold it. When Boeing announced the launch of the 727, they already had orders from United and Eastern for 40 aircraft each. The first overseas customer was Lufthansa, who placed an order for 12 aircraft in March 1961. 2 months later, American Airlines, who eventually went on to become one of the world's largest operators of 727s, signed a letter of intent for 25 aircraft. Production aircraft number 4 embarked on a 6-week world tour to demonstrate the 727, with visits to India, Pakistan, Thailand, Japan, the Philippines and Australia, returning through Africa and Europe. Both All Nippon Airways and Japan Airlines ordered 727s from this tour, and repeat orders came from Ansett and Trans-Australian Airlines, who had already ordered 2 aircraft each. United was the first airline to receive a 727, but Eastern placed the first aircraft into revenue service on February 1st, 1964. Almost 4 decades later, 727-100s are still flying, but because of noisy and dirty engines have been banned from many European airports and are restricted at many others. Some operators are fitting hush kits, acoustic nacelles on the outboard engines, to meet Stage 3 noise restrictions. United Parcel Service is refitting all its 100Cs with Rolls-Royce Tay engines on modern glass cockpits. These aircraft are known as 727QFs, quiet freighters. The 727-200 was a stretched version of the aircraft introduced in 1965. A 10-foot plug was inserted in the fuselage in front of and behind the wing. New Pratt & Whitney JT8D-9 turbofans were fitted, each rated at 14,000 pounds of thrust. The later JT8D-11, rated at 15,000 pounds of thrust, allowed for a higher maximum takeoff weight. The 727-200 Advanced was launched in 1970 with an order from all Nippon Airlines. The aircraft was fitted with Pratt & Whitney JT8D-15 engines, rated at 15,500 pounds of thrust, which allowed the maximum takeoff weight to be increased to 191,000 pounds, and permitted a 40% increase in the aircraft's range. The 727-200 Advanced became so popular that it was built in greater numbers than any other variant. The 727's maximum speed is 549 knots, maximum cruising speed is 515 knots, and its most economical cruising speed is 467 knots. Range with maximum payload is 2,140 nautical miles, and range with maximum fuel is 2,400 nautical miles. Empty, the 200 Advanced weighs 100,000 pounds, and maximum takeoff weight is 209,500 pounds. The aircraft's wingspan is 108 feet, length is 153 feet, and its height is 34 feet. The 727 costs, on average, $2,499 an hour to operate, including fuel, crew and maintenance costs. In late 2001, United had approximately 75 727s in service, Delta 70, and American Airlines had 58. Not bad for a 30-year-old aircraft. Northwest Orient, now just Northwest, was the first customer for the 200 series. In late 2001, Northwest had approximately 34 727s still in service. American Transair is a scheduled and charter passenger airline based in Indianapolis. They have a fleet of 24 727-200 advanced. N773AT is seen departing Phoenix in the airline's special 25th anniversary paint scheme. Laker Airways Bahamas operates two 727-200 advance, primarily in charter service on behalf of Princess Cruises. One is seen rotating from Fort Lauderdale. Champion Air, based in Bloomington, Minnesota, operate charter passenger service with 8 727-200 advanced. Falcon Air Express is another charter passenger operator and has 4 727-200s based at Miami. Mexicano operate about 35 727s with JT8D-17R engines which have 17,400 pounds of thrust. The aircraft feature automatic performance reserve, which, if it senses a loss of power on an engine during takeoff, increases power to the other engines. This engine was specifically designed for hot-high operation, making it ideal for Mexicana, as Mexico City is located at over 7,000 feet. Discovery operated 6 727s from Newark and appear to be no longer in business. Sun Country Airlines are based at Minneapolis-St. Paul and operate 13 727s in scheduled and charter passenger service. Avenza is a Venezuelan airline based at Caracas and owns 6 727s, one of which is seen here arriving at Miami International. Capital Cargo International is a charter cargo airline based in Orlando, Florida. They operate a fleet of 15 727-200 advanced freighters. Kitty Hawk Air Cargo operates 40 727-200 freighters in both scheduled and charter cargo service. Kitty Hawk is based at Dallas-Fort Worth. Very few 727s have had winglets fitted. Delta fitted 2 727s with winglets in 1993 to see if the resulting fuel savings would justify modifying the entire fleet, which it didn't. Amerijet, a scheduled cargo operator flying mostly to Mexico and the Caribbean, have 4 727s with winglets. One is seen here at Dallas-Fort Worth. DHL Airways, based in Cincinnati, is a scheduled cargo operator with 10 727-100 freighters, 4 of which have winglets, and 12 727-200 freighters. FedEx, a Memphis-based scheduled cargo operator, has a staggering 161 727s of various descriptions, the world's largest fleet. Ryan International operate 36 727s, 17 of which are in US Postal Service colours. Almost 40 years after the first 727 was delivered, the United States major airlines are getting rid of their 727s in favour of new, fuel-efficient airliners. Both American Airlines and United Airlines are due to ground their fleets at the end of 2001, and Delta can't be far behind. Hopefully the 727 will soldier on for many more years in the hands of small airlines and the cargo operators. In 1966, American Airlines requested proposals from 7 manufacturers for a wide-body twin-jet airliner for use on non-stop transcontinental flights and which could take off from short runways. The Douglas Company responded with a proposal for a Trijet, somewhat larger than the specifications from American. The third engine would increase operation costs, but American placed an order for 25 aircraft with an option on a further 25. This aircraft became the DC-10. By the time the DC-10 made its maiden flight, in August 1970, Douglas had become part of the McDonnell Douglas Corporation. The initial model was the DC-10-10, which was powered by General Electric's CF6-6D engines, producing 40,000 pounds of thrust, and could carry up to 380 passengers in an all-economy configuration. The DC-10-10's range was 3,652 nautical miles. The DC-10-20 was developed in response to a request from Northwest Orient. Wingspan was increased by 9 feet 10 inches, and fuel capacity increased by 2/3, and a third main undercarriage was installed in the fuselage to cope with the extra weight. Pratt & Whitney JT9D20 turbofans were installed. These were rated at 49,000 pounds of thrust with water injection. The first DC-10-20 flew in February 1972 and Northwest was the only customer. The DC-10-30 first flew in June 1972 and had the same wingspan, undercarriage and fuel capacity as the DC-10-20. GE turbofans producing 51,000 pounds of thrust powered the aircraft, and its range was 5,150 nautical miles, a major factor in its success. 7 DC-10-15s were built for Mexicana. The aircraft was a DC-10-10 with the more powerful engines from the 30 series. It was basically a hot and high aircraft, which enabled Mexicana to carry maximum payloads out of Mexico City, which is situated at about 7,000 feet. McDonnell Douglas also produced 2 freighter models. The first was the DC-1030CF, which is a convertible model and can be used for either passengers, freight or as a combi. Continental bought several DC-1010CFs, which can carry palletized freight, and Federal Express bought DC-10Fs. The DC-1030 has a wingspan of 165 feet 5 inches, is 182 feet long, and is 58 feet 1 inch high. Maximum speed is 530 knots, and maximum cruising speed is 490 knots. Empty, the aircraft weighs 267,197 pounds, and maximum takeoff weight is 572,000 pounds. A total of 386 civil DC-10s were built. It costs, on average, $4,800 an hour for a major airline to operate a DC-10. This includes crew, fuel and maintenance costs. Northwest are still operating their DC-10s in late 2001, but the aircraft are due to be replaced by Airbus A330s by 2003. United's fleet of 12 DC-10-10s delivered between 1972 and 1981, and 8 DC-10-30Fs delivered between 1984 and 1987, were all withdrawn from service in 2000, and mostly went to Federal Express. Hawaiian Airlines, based in Honolulu, operate 10 DC-10-10s and 4 DC-10-30s. These are former American Airlines and Continental Airlines aircraft. Continental acquired DC-10-10s in the early 70s and a number of DC-10-30s in the 80s and 90s, mostly second-hand from a variety of sources. Continental grounded its DC-10 fleet on September 30th, 2001, and the aircraft are mostly stored in Mojave, California. Sun Country is a charter and scheduled passenger airline based at Minneapolis-St. Paul. They operated 4 DC-10-15s, seen here at Las Vegas, Nevada. All were taken out of service in early 2001. Air Tours International is based at Manchester, England, where its sole DC-1030 is seen rotating in early September 2000. Monarch Airlines also owns one DC-1030, and this is also seen at Manchester.
What's taking up?
Varig of Brazil, in addition to its MD-11 fleet, owns a pair of DC-10 30F freighters, one of which is seen landing at Miami International. Probably better known for their DC-8 fleet, Emery Worldwide is a freight carrier. One of their 5 DC-10 10Fs is seen taxiing at Dallas-Fort Worth. Federal Express, based at Memphis, Tennessee, has over 120 DC-10s, many of which have been converted to MD-10Fs, with a 2-person flight crew and a modern glass cockpit. Many of these aircraft are former United and American Airlines. Gemini Air Cargo operate 11 DC-10 30Fs and 3 MD-11Fs. Gemini operates a charter cargo service for other airlines. The United States Air Force has 60 KC-10A extender aircraft used mainly as a tanker for air-to-air refueling. The KC-10A is based on the DC-10 30CF and has additional fuel cells in the lower fuselage, as well as a flying boom for refueling. The extender also has a refueling receptacle just above the cockpit to allow it to take on fuel itself. Delta Airlines has always been the largest operator of Lockheed's TriStar, one of which is seen rotating at Los Angeles International. Sadly, Delta's fleet were all taken out of service in mid-2001. Lockheed's L-1011 TriStar grew out of the same American Airlines request for a transcontinental widebody as the DC-10, and was Lockheed's only venture into the jet airliner market, being better known for their military aircraft. Although American requested a proposal for a twin jet, other airlines such as Eastern and TWA wanted a trijet for added safety over long journeys. Although American selected the DC-10, both Eastern and TWA placed large orders for the TriStar, Eastern with orders and options for 50 aircraft and TWA for 44. The prototype first flew on November 16, 1970 and was powered by Rolls-Royce RB211 engines rated at 42,000 pounds of thrust. The original model was the L-1011-1, which was aimed at the US transcontinental market. And a year after its introduction, Lockheed had received firm orders for 103 aircraft. The Series 1 would carry up to 400 passengers in an all-economy configuration, and its maximum takeoff weight was 430,000 pounds. The Series 100 and 200 aircraft had the same dimensions as the Series 1, but offered an increase in range through a slight reduction in payload capacity, allowing an increase in fuel capacity. The 200's range, with maximum fuel, is 4,918 nautical miles, as opposed to the Series 1's 3,110 nautical mile range. The 250 series was a conversion of the 1 series with the higher thrust engines from the 500, but only 2 were ever built, both for Delta, and 4 Series 1s were converted, also for Delta. The 500 series had Rolls-Royce RB211 524B engines rated at 50,000 pounds of thrust, a fuselage length of 164 feet 3 inches, 13 feet 6 inches shorter than the Series 1, and a wingspan of 164 feet 4 inches, 9 feet longer than the Series 1. Range with maximum fuel is 6,100 nautical miles, and the aircraft carries a maximum of 330 passengers in a single class layout. Production ceased in 1984, with a total of 250 TriStars having been built, 50 of which were 500s. American Transair, based in Indianapolis, Indiana, is a scheduled and charter airline. They have a total of 19 TriStars, a number of which came from Delta, and 5 of which are 500s. All of them former Royal Jordanian aircraft. Three flavours of Trijet at LAX, an MD-11, a TriStar and a DC-10. Air Atlanta Iceland, in addition to 3 Boeing 767s and 16 Boeing 747s, operate 5 L-1011s. TFABU, a TriStar 1, is seen landing at Manchester, England. Air Transat is a Canadian scheduled and charter passenger carrier based in Montreal. They have 6 TriStar 500s and 9 other TriStars, Series 1, 100 and 150. CGTSB, a TriStar 500, is seen landing at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. British West Indian Airlines, based in Port of Spain, Trinidad, received the first TriStar in 1980. They operate 4 of the long-range 500s, one of which, N3140D, Sunjet St. Lucia, is seen at Miami International. American Airlines was one of the largest operators of MD-11s, but has rapidly disposed of most of their fleet to Federal Express. N-1765B, seen here at Dallas-Fort Worth, was delivered to the airline in 1993. Details of the MD-11, the successor to the DC-10, were first released at the Paris Air Show of 1985. Construction began in March 1988, with the first flight scheduled for the following summer. The MD-11 is not just a longer DC-10 with winglets. The use of modern composite materials has reduced the aircraft's weight, whilst the use of winglets offers an improved performance over the DC-10. The aircraft has improved avionics and a modern glass cockpit, and has a flight deck crew of 2, eliminating the engineer needed on the DC-10. McDonnell Douglas advertised an increase in range of 27% over that of the DC-10. The MD-11 seats from 234 in a mixed configuration to up to 410 in an all-economy class layout. The MD-11 first flew in January 1990, more than 6 months later than planned. This first aircraft was an MD-11 freighter and was used for type certification before being handed over to Federal Express in the summer of 1991. By early 1990, prospects for the MD-11 looked bright, with orders and options for 340 aircraft, which was only 106 short of total DC-10 production, and put the MD-11 ahead of its potential rivals, the Airbus A330 and A340 and the Boeing 777. However, customer dissatisfaction with the aircraft for not meeting its advertised payload and range specifications was soon making headlines in the world's aviation press. Many orders were cancelled, and by June 1994, orders totaled just 264 aircraft. McDonnell Douglas worked to correct the problems, but by 1995, only 137 aircraft were in service, with 27 orders outstanding. McDonnell Douglas became part of Boeing in 1997, and the MD-11 was discontinued, the last aircraft, a freighter, being delivered to Lufthansa in 2000. The MD-11 uses either Pratt & Whitney PW4460 engines rated at 60,000 pounds of thrust, Pratt & Whitney PW4462s rated at 62,000 pounds of thrust, or GE turbofans rated at 61,500 pounds of thrust. Maximum cruising speed is 510 knots, and range with 298 passengers is 6,821 nautical miles. The MD-11F's range is 3,910 nautical miles. The aircraft weighs 286,965 pounds, and maximum takeoff weight is 602,555 pounds. Wingspan is 169 feet 6 inches, length 200 feet 2 inches, and height is 57 feet 9 inches. Delta was the second airline to receive MD-11s, its first arriving in December 1990, a month after Finnair's. Delta currently operates 15 MD-11s. Japan Airlines operates 10 MD-11s, which will all apparently be returned to Boeing over the next 2 or 3 years for conversion to freighters for United Parcels Service. All Japan Airlines MD-11s are named after birds, and a picture of the type of bird may be seen behind the second door and on the winglet. This is JA8582, red-crowned crane, at Dallas-Fort Worth. Varig of Brazil operated DC-10s for many years, and now operates a fleet of 15 MD-11s, the DC-10's natural successor. However, the MD-11s are rumoured to be due to be replaced by Boeing 777s in the near future. China Eastern Airlines is based in Shanghai in the People's Republic of China and operates 4 MD-11s and 2 MD-11F freighters. An MD-11 is seen on final approach at Los Angeles International. Eva Air is a member of the Evergreen Group and is based at Taipei in the Republic of China, or Taiwan. They operate 3 MD-11s and 9 MD-11Fs, one of which is seen landing at Atlanta Hartsfield. Swiss Air operate 19 MD-11s, all with Pratt & Whitney PW4462 engines. One is seen here on pushback at Zurich-Kloten, with another taking off in the background on runway 16. Alitalia, based in Rome, operate 3 MD-11s and 5 MD-11F combis. IDUPD is an MD-11 and is seen here at Los Angeles. KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, operate 10 MD-11s, all named after notable women. PHKCD, Florence Nightingale, lands at Amsterdam Schiphol. Lufthansa Cargo, a subsidiary of Lufthansa, based at Frankfurt, operate 14 MD-11 freighters, one of which is seen at Dallas-Fort Worth. Martinair is a subsidiary of KLM. They operate 6 MD-11Fs, 4 of which are combis. PHMCR is a combi and is seen at Amsterdam Schiphol.